Today I'd like to talk about unmortgageable properties, where to find them and how you can make real money out of them. Hi, my name is Tony Law from Your First Four Houses, and my channel is all about helping you achieve financial freedom through property. If this is your first time here, be sure to subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon so you don't miss out on any of the free content that I give you each and every week. So today I'd like to talk about unmortgageable properties and how they might represent a fantastic opportunity for you. But before we get into this, I just have to say I am not FCA approved, and so before you take any action on any of the stuff that I'm actually sharing with you today, it's crucial that you speak to an independent mortgage broker, somebody with access to the whole of the market who is FCA approved, and take their advice over mine. So I want to do this in two parts. Firstly, I want to look at what actually makes a property unmortgageable and where to find them. And secondly, what you can do with an unmortgaged property to make money when you do find them. So let's kick things off with condition first of all. Derelict properties are a great example of an unmortgageable property, together with anything with structural defects. For example, if a property has broken wall ties, if there's a wall that's bowing out, any substantial cracking, damp, dry or wet rot. These are all good examples of properties that are probably going to be unmortgageable. If there's a history of subsidence, or if it's non-standard type of construction, or indeed unusual construction. But even if the property has no kitchen or no bathroom, or I found out, if a property has two kitchens, these can all be reasons for the property being unmortgageable. What about the evil Japanese knotweed, hated by all property investors? If you've got that on a property, it's probably going to be unmortgageable. So let's move on to location. So if the place is in a floodplain or close to a floodplain, yes, that's probably going to be a real problem with regards to getting a mortgage. If you go to this website, you'll find that it gives you all the information you can need. You just type in your postcode and it will tell you immediately where you are in relation to any floodplain. If there are any boundary disputes, or if there's a planning application that's been applied for incorrectly. If you are subject to any coastal erosion, now where I'm based on the south coast, there are some real issues there. Maybe less of an issue if you're in the middle of the country. Areas or any properties that are built on or near any landfill sites are going to be a problem. Also, if you're close to any mining works. So let's look at now leasehold flats. If you have a flat with obviously a lease, if it's defective in any way, if the lease is defective in any way, yes, that's probably going to be a big issue. You need to check your paperwork carefully there, or make sure that your solicitor does indeed make sure he checks that lease paperwork carefully. If it's a short lease, for example, if it's typically less than 70 years, big problem. If you're on anything above a 5th story in a tower block, or if you're above certain types of shops, it's probably going to mean that the property is unmortgageable. Let's move on to tenants. So if you have, frankly, any kind of tenanted property that you're trying to purchase, if there are tenants in there at the moment, well, actually that might well be the end of the story. You may well not be able to get a mortgage. But especially if there is a sitting tenant or if it's on a regulated tenancy, that's going to be a major issue. By the way, if this stuff is in any way helping you, I'd love it if you could just click on the thumbs up button below there. It really helps me if that's okay. Let's talk about value. If the property is less than £40,000, yeah, you're probably not going to be able to get a mortgage on that. But also, if it's clearly obvious that you're buying this property below market value, you're probably not going to be able to get a mortgage on it. Reality is you might be able to, but in certain situations, yeah, if it's buying below market value, you may well not be able to get a mortgage on it. So what do you actually do if you actually find one of these unmortgageable properties? Well, the very first thing you need to do is to do double the amount of due diligence that you would normally do. So if it's a legal or planning or a lease related issue, then obviously you've got to probably palm that onto your professional people, maybe a lease advisor, maybe a planning consultant, obviously your solicitor. These are the people that are going to look seriously at that. But if it's maybe a structural issue, for example, the question is there any remedial work that you could do that might actually make that property mortgageable? So for example, if there's no kitchen in the property, we've already talked about this, well, frankly, you're probably not going to be able to get a mortgage on it. Could you maybe get the owner of the property into some kind of an option agreement where he signs to say that he's going to commit to buy that, to sell that property to you? You then do some remedial work and maybe fit the kitchen, maybe underpin the subsidence, maybe remedy the structural issue, whatever it might be, and then the property can then become mortgageable. That's a great way to actually deal with any structurally based issues with the property. Obviously, the other way that you could approach it is you could look at some other kind of way of financing it. Now, I've done various videos on this, but the obvious one that comes to mind is, could you maybe bridge that property until you can get it to a mortgageable state, and then get rid of the bridging, which is always going to be expensive, I would suggest, for what it actually is, and then maybe put a conventional type of mortgage in place, be it a homeowner mortgage or a buy-to-let mortgage. Again, I reiterate, I am not a mortgage broker. You need to speak to an independent mortgage broker and take their advice on this, not mine. But how can you actually find unmortgageable properties? Well, one of the obvious things to do is to make it clear to the estate agents that you're talking to, who hopefully you've built up an awesome level of rapport with, just make it clear that actually you are in a position to actually deal with unmortgageable properties. And they themselves may well be able to put some properties in your direction that might well work for you. But also search online, go to Zoopla. And if you go to the advanced search feature, you can actually just type in, for example, cash buyers. And yes, a cash buyer may well mean that they're about to be repossessed. That's probably the obvious one. But it may well also mean that they're looking for cash buyers because the property is simply unmortgageable. But you can also search online. Just go to Google and just start searching for properties, unmortgageable properties or cash buyers, and you may well be quite surprised what actually comes up. So have I missed out any examples of unmortgageable properties? If I have, I'd love it if you could take a moment to actually drop your comments in the box below. If you can think of any other examples, I'd love to be able to add them to my list. I really hope you found that helpful. For more information like this, be sure to subscribe to my channel. And while you're here, download this 50-point checklist, which will help you with the next time you buy an investment property. My name's Tony Law from Your First 4 Houses, with online training that helps build your property portfolio.